and you'll be amazed how easy and affordable it is to have your very own show on the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
GoPro Radio, the fastest growing network in the galaxy, is leaner and meaner with a new attitude, new technology, and a brand new lineup. Tune in and get wired every Wednesday, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern with the BCS Experience featuring Byron C. Saunders, formerly of New York City's WBAI. Then at 6 p.m., it's the Black Agenda TV Express featuring sought-out political commentator Glenn Ford, formerly of America's Black Forum. Then at 8 p.m., it's time for Kay Thompson Live with the legendary radio host Kay Thompson of Inner City Broadcasting's WLIB and her son, renowned actor Eric Payne, who starred in such films as Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, Drop Squad, and many more. Then at 9 p.m., it's Food Rap featuring Nina Markel, a.k.a. the unofficial mayor of Jersey City, and former Viacom marketing guru Shauna Glover. Last but not least, at 10 p.m. Eastern, it's the Sexy Party Show with the bad boy of dating Mr. Locario of I Love New York fame and his partner in crime, Miles Cunningham. So get wired every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern only on the GoPro Radio Network, www.goproradio.com. Listen to the voices in your head.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
We're back at the Earl Morgan Hour with your host, Earl Morgan, and his co-host, Tanya Bland.
Good evening.
And our guest tonight, who is Lou Manzo. But before we go further, let me tell you that you can follow us on Facebook at the Earl Morgan Hour and at Twitter at Earl Morgan Hour. And if you wish to call in while we're on the air here, you can call in at 718-888-7444. 714-888-7444.
And I see we have a caller.
We have a caller?
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Yes. Can I have, who are you? Who's your caller? Okay, so do you have a statement, comment? Yes, no? Oh, they're already gone. Okay.
We thank you for calling in.
Thank you for calling, and call back if you so wish. But before we go any further, let me read something that I really want you to know about. That's the it still takes a village to raise a child. It's time to reclaim the village. It's a trilogy written by Clarence Matthews of Jersey City. Jacob's Rite of Passage. We've had him on the air. It's 3 short novellas, really. And they're all about a young man and his growing up to become a full-grown man. And we'd like for you to support the village by supporting this vision and purchase the declared titles, which is the publishing company, at our online bookstore at www.declare.publishing.com, or call at the toll-free number 1-888-350-9721. And be sure to like the Jacob's Rite of Passage on Facebook. Further than that, on Saturday of this coming Saturday, Clarence Matthews will be doing a program at the Miller Branch Library, in Jersey City at 489 Bergen Avenue, and he will be talking about his books. And I have been asked and have agreed to be a participant in that program and do some reading of the book myself. So I'm hoping that if you can find the time and the energy, please be there Saturday at the Miller Branch, which is a community, a real community gem, on Saturday at 1 p.m. And just come. You'll be glad that you were there.
Why don't you tell our listeners where the Miller Branch Library
I did,
is?
489 Bergen Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, at 489 Bergen Avenue at 1 p.m. Okay, Now let's get back to Mr. Manzo.
Now, you were telling us about that catwalk. I want you to describe that to our listeners because that was the part I knew this would be a quick read. I'd like to go into that, please.
Well, it started. Let me go through that day. It started. I actually was going to go on a radio show early that morning to sort of give a preview of the upcoming gubernatorial race because at that time it was settled. It was going to be Corzine, and it was going to be Christie. I'm having a background in the assembly, having just come out of the assembly, I was, sort of much, going to comment on it.
Was there anything different about that day for you at that point?
Oh, at that point it was normal until I was preparing to go on the show and I got a phone call.
Okay.
And someone claiming to be an FBI agent and saying that there was a warrant out for my arrest. They were at my condo up in Jersey City, and obviously I wasn't there. I was at my family's shore home in Belmar, New Jersey, and they were saying I to come up there and be arrested. Now I'm thinking,
this is a joke.
This
right?
is a joke,
Yeah.
and that someone knows I'm going on the radio because my life is not a secret, and they're busting my chops now before my big moment on radio, which is why I was a little nervous before we get on the air here. I was waiting for a phone call. I turned my phone off.
Waiting for those
waiting on the phone call saying,
those guys, those FBI windbreakers on them, right? Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I'm in shock. I turn the TV on, like the guy said, and I see this breaking news on every network about this thing, this big arrest, mass arrest going down in New Jersey. I said, "Oh my God!" So I called the number back, and the guy identifies himself as an FBI
Now, don't
agent.
forget, he's getting ready to go on the show.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And
so now the show is out of my mind. And I'll tell you, I drive up the Parkway and the Turnpike, and I don't remember the trip at all.
Really?
Don't remember the trip. The next thing I remember is pulling in to the garage, the building's garage, and going up, and still can't believe this is happening. I'm picturing myself, am I dreaming? Going up into my apartment, the FBI guys, agents come in. They were very gentlemanly, and they were explaining the whole thing.
Where are they waiting for you?
Well, they were waiting down at the desk.
Okay.
And when I got upstairs, they came in, and they say, look, there's a routine of when we have to arrest somebody, and the routine is we have to, ask you if you have any weapons, and then we have to search. And I said, feel free. You're not going to find anything. And then they give you, do you want to tell us anything before
What are you thinking at that moment?
I'm still in denial. I'm still saying I can't believe this is happening.
Did they have
Now
the
I have
FBI windbreakers
guys
on?
No, they had
Suits?
suits. You know what? They actually looked like they didn't want to be there. Because these guys were from another office, and they used so many FBI people that day
They had to
arrest people.
steal
They had to
them
pull
from
in
other
there.
places.
So and I had to probably say the guy he was almost apologetic in going through it, and that was tilting. That was really sending a message to me that this guy knows
this is
a mess.
Yeah.
This is a mess. He knows the whole thing. So they were gentlemen. They tell me this. He goes, "Look, we want to show you this video." So they put up a computer. They plug it in, and on the computer screen is one of the Sting's informants, Ed Cheatham.
Ed Cheatham. Oh, yeah.
handing my brother a FedEx envelope.
Okay.
All right, and
Your brother Ronald.
Ronald. It doesn't mean anything to me. And they're saying, well, this is the money that's alleged that you got to you for doing this guy David Eisenbach. They're calling him,
Which was
really
Dweck's,
Solomon Dweck, his alias. And it doesn't ring a bell with me at
confidential
all.
informant's name.
I'm saying, who? None of this rings a bell. And I'm bad with names in a way anyway. But I met Dweck twice, and the second time I was so furious that they set up a meeting with him that I was beating up on my brother, saying, "Don't ever bring this guy around. He's a snake. I don't want to know him. Keep him away and don't take any money from him." So anyway, then they ask you, do you want to tell us about any information you might have? This is what I call in the book, the frequent flyer miles that you earn yourself.
So where are you in your apartment?
I'm in the kitchen.
Okay.
I'm in the kitchen. I'm at the kitchen counter, And now, the arrest is going to go down. So they were nice. They're telling me, look, when you get there, they're going to take your keys. They're going to take your wallet, this, that, and the other thing. So the one FBI agent said, you know what, because I'm saying, look, I have to get my car. Someone's going to come and pick me up. I have to have my car keys to get back into the car. This, that. The FBI agent was nice enough to hold on to them. He said, I'll get them to your lawyer. All right, so I give them the keys, a couple bucks, whatever. And then, I said, do you guys mind? I just don't want to go through my lobby in handcuffs. I'm just, it's just a shock. So they took me out through the back of the building, and they waited until the car came around, and they handcuffed me on Liberty Avenue and the corner, and then they drove me to Newark.
What are you thinking at this point?
I can't believe this is happening. Now when I get to Newark, I'm almost into a fog, like a semi half
trance. Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly.
And that's what you feel in the book too.
Yeah, and you say, how could this be happening? It's
just a dream.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? I'm a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock, and this was right out of a Hitchcock movie.
Do you remember the movie he did, The Suspect?
That
with
and
Henry
North
Fonda?
Yeah, that and North by Northwest.
Okay.
Where the guy gets in this thing. That's what it was reminding me of. Here I am. I'm in the middle of this thing. So anyway, now I start seeing all these familiar faces.
Yeah.
And you're still in the fog saying, well,
what do they got? What are you guys doing?
What are you exactly?
I want to wake up.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know whether it's a surprise party, whatever. And then they fingerprint you, they ID you there. They had a spread out there for bagels and coffee. Nobody
was.
Not hungry at all.
No, you're not hungry.
Nobody was hungry.
No. And I was like one of the last guys to roll in because I came from the shore, so it wasn't as bad. Most of the press had left by the time I had to do my little perp walk. But I wound up going on a bus with Jimmy King, who ran for councilman on my ticket.
He was also the Jersey City Parking Authority director under Glenn Cunningham's administration. Mayor Suarez and myself and a few of the I shouldn't say a few. There was 6 other rabbis, and that was confusing me. I'm saying, what the heck is this? Did they have on the hats and the?
Yes, they were doing a prayer service.
Oh no!
And let me tell you, I was joining them. I was when we got in there. I wanted any help I could get. Count me in, I said.
Help me now. And wake me up.
Anything to help, I figured, what the heck, it couldn't hurt. But anyway, we're up in the jail cell. Now, we don't know what's going on, but now I'm hearing stories in the jail cell about what people piecing things together, because we don't know a thing. We don't even have our arrest warrants. We don't even know what our arrest
I was going to say.
So what did they say?
Did they read you your rights?
They did read me my rights, but they didn't hand me the arrest warrant, which is
well, they can do that.
Look, I wouldn't have understood it.
I was
going to
say at that point,
wouldn't have comprehended.
Yeah. What are the rabbis saying?
The rabbis are praying. They're
in Hebrew eventually.
And they're talking. Yeah, they're talking Hebrew, and they're in there for money. Now we find out later they're in for money. I don't know. I'm thinking, were these guys running in the election? I'm trying to, what the heck? What were they doing? Trying to make sense of something you couldn't.
Yeah, because with all those political types in there, you could sort of surmise this has to be about local politics.
Right, and then the rabbis threw the curve in it.
Yeah.
And so then now it's a long day. It's getting now. Remember, I go in and start my journey at 7:00. I got to the FBI, my apartment 9:00. Get to the FBI building by 11:00. Transported to the courthouse by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And now they're delaying the arraignment before the judge because naturally these guys want to get on primetime news.
So they're waiting until you get down to about 5, 6 o'clock.
Right, exactly. So we're just sitting in the jail cells. I have my interaction with Jack Shaw.
I wanted to talk to you about that. Jack Shaw is a local political type who was a consultant, more or less, and was involved in various parts of politics, and was very much involved in this thing with. In this particular thing with the Dweck character, who was the confidential informant, but Jack was a very sick guy.
Yeah, well, he was actually. I knew Jack's physical condition. He was ashing, and he was almost keeling over in the cell. And I thought he was going into a diabetic coma. So everybody was leaving home. I went over. I said, Jack, do you want me to call? He says, no. He had been picked up the night before.
Oh.
He hadn't had his medication, hadn't had food. He's a diabetic. And
That's not good.
No, and they knew his condition because they heard him doing his rendition of his condition
On
one of the tape.
Right.
So he said, no, please. He's telling me the interrogation he went through was something out of Guantanamo Bay. That's how brutal it was. And all they wanted him to do was, say that Joe Doria took money, which...
Let me explain. Joe Doria is a former assemblyman. Matter of fact, Speaker of the Assembly.
Speaker of the Assembly.
And a Hoboken, a Bayonne assemblyman, rather, and had been around for a long time. Everybody knew him. He had his own accounting firm, I believe.
That's right. No.
Right. His brother's the accountant.
Right.
And Joe was, Joe.
Yeah, and the DCA commissioner at the time.
Right, the DCA. He was
Under
in
Corzine.
the cabinet of
John Corzine.
the then Governor John Corzine. And the FBI went into his house and raided it and brought out a bunch of empty boxes.
Yeah.
But I remember, as I'm reading your book, I'm remembering all of this stuff that happened. And I'm thinking, how could I have forgotten all of this so quickly?
And audience, I know you remember because we saw this all on television.
Yes, we did.
So here
they made sure we saw it on television.
Ruthless Ambition, The Rise and Fall of Chris Christie.
And callers, please, people who are out there in our audience, if you call in, we have books for you. We're giving away a couple of the copies of Ruthless Ambition. If anyone wishes to call in and give us their name and how we can reach you, we will make sure that you get a copy of this. It's really well worth reading. I started reading it, and I got to tell you, this book kept me up at night. I had, it's one of those things where you got to know what's going to happen on the next page.
It is. I'll give you that.
And this is what got me. Right away, it began to be obvious that some of the stuff they did was a little untoward, let's say. And when your lawyer got into court, he sort of dismantled the case they had against you by showing that there was really no crime.
That's right.
And and you mentioned some other people, some other lawyers.
The crime of that was that they knew all along that there was no crime. And, as we prove in the book, they finagled this. They broke the law. They finagled it, then they covered up by destroying evidence of what they had done. And it was all done to perpetuate Christie's ascendancy to the governor's election.
All right, we're going to take a break again. Before we go into a break, I'm going to remind you a little bit about the Clarence Matthews novella and tell you how you can get your copy of the novellas. They're well worth reading. They're all very interesting books. They follow a young man named Jacob from birth to manhood and marriage. And the names of the book is Jacob's Rite of Passage. And there are 3 different books. They're all very short to read, but very, very interesting. They will hold your attention, believe me. And it still takes a village to raise a child, and that's made very clear in this book.
And Cole, I want to ask you to please hold on until after the break, because this break is sponsored by Declare Publishing.
Right. Declare Publishing is the company that is published the Jacob's Rites of Passage. And to get yourself a copy of the book, you can either contact Declare at www.declarepublishing.com, and that's DEECLARE Publishing.
Now, caller, I know you've been on the line for a while, and you're probably waiting for this book. So I'm going to ask you to stick with us through the break, and then you will get that book.
Right. Well, one thing I'll tell you that before we go to break, you can also call 888-350-9721 to get a copy.
So stay tuned until after the break.
Right.
The views and opinions expressed on GoPro Radio Network shows are solely those